This video is for practicing two very similar rhythms, a quarter note tied to an eighth note and a dotted quarter note. As you know, in 4/4 meter, a quarter note is 1 beat long, and a single eighth note is half of a beat long. So when these two notes are connected with a tie, they combine to make one sound, and naturally that sound will be a beat and a half long. That's kind of abstract until you actually try reading the rhythms. In the last video, we read rhythms with 8 rests using Takadimi syllables. We took out the ta in ta-di, and we left silent in its place. This time, the ta will not be silent, but it will blend into the previous sound. So instead of ta, di, ta, ta, we'll carry the sound over from the first beat. No gaps, no breaths. Like this. Ta, di, ta, ta. The first sound is spilling over into the second beat without stopping. Let's try a few examples. We'll start with a familiar rhythm, then we'll tie two notes into one sound. No gaps, no breaths. Repeat after me. Ta, ta, di, ta, ta. Ta, di, ta, ta. Ta, ta, di, ta, ta, di. Ta, di, ta, ta, di. Ta, di, ta, di. Ta, di, ta, ta, di, ta. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Ta, ta, di, ta, di, ta. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Ta, 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 di, ta. Ta, ta, di, ta. Ta, 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 di. Ta, 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 di. There's another way to show the quarter note tied to an eighth note. A dotted quarter note is a single note that means the same thing. It's also a beat and a half long. This time around we'll read a rhythm with a tie, then we'll read the exact same rhythm with a dotted quarter note. Here we go. Repeat after me. Ta, di, ta, ta. Ta, di, ta, ta. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Ta, ta, di, ta. Ta, ta, di, ta. Ta, 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 di. Ta, 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 di. Ta, di, ta, di. Ta, di, ta, di. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Awesome. Think you're ready to read some of these rhythms yourself? This time you say the rhythms first, and I'll say them back so you can check your work. Some rhythms will have a quarter note tied to an eighth note, some will have a dotted quarter note. They mean the same thing. Ready, and you then me. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Ta, di, ta, ta. Ta, di, ta, di, ta, di. Ta 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 dee. Ta ta dee ta dee. Ta dee ta ta dee. Ta dee ta ta. Ta ta dee ta. Ta 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 dee. Ta dee ta dee ta. Ta dee ta dee ta. Ta ta dee ta. Okay, that was a lot of information. How did you do? As usual, you have the option to challenge yourself by speeding up the video in your YouTube settings, or you can slow it down if you need to. If you have any questions about these concepts, feel free to leave them in the comments for me. And if you prefer another counting system, check out the Gordon and Count Singing playlists on this channel. Thanks for watching.